Hi there and welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2024 Wildwood 178 BHSK. We're just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you are pre-wired for an observation camera as well as a lippered stair system. And then you got your spare tire. And then in the back left corner, you pull this cap off. And this is where you're going to find your sewer hose. Once fully extended, it is about 15 feet long. These two ears here are going to be the two ears that hook up to your sewer outlet, which I'll show you in a short second here. We just keep the sewer hose stowed away in the back bumper here, just keeps as much smell out of the unit as possible. You got your cable satellite inlet right here in this corner, as well as all four corners of the unit. You have these stabilizer jacks. You're just going to hook the 3/4 inch tool that we have located inside the front compartment up to this drive nut. Run this down to the ground. Once the foot contacts the ground, you're just giving another 1/8 turn just to snug it up, and it's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. You got your two low point drains right here. That's just going to drain all the water inside your water lines. Off to our left, we do have your sewer outlet. Taking note, these are the same two ears that your sewer hose had, and they just line up with these notches here in any order. Lock into place. You got your black tank and your gray tank. You're always going to want to empty your black tank first, as it's your dirtiest water, and then you can come behind that with your gray tank, which is typically a little cleaner water. And then you got your city water connection. So if you're at a site with service, you can hook garden hose up to that. Pressurizes all the lines without the need to run your water pump. Then you got your black tank flush, so it's very important. Whenever you're using this black tank flush, you do have to have the sewer connected and your black tank gate valve open. Otherwise, you do run the risk of bursting your tank, and the purpose of that black tank flush is just to flush that tank out to help with any false monitor panel readings or any odor you're noticing around the unit. Right next to that, you do have your main power cord inlet. This is a standard twist lock 30 amp connection. You just take a note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch here. You're just lining those two guys up, pressing it into place, 1/8 turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 30 amp plug-in. Most campsites should have this and you can plug right on in, but let's say you're at home and you want to run the fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service. We do include a 15 amp park adapter. Just keep it in mind when you're going down to 15 amps of power. It's really just to run your lights in your fridge. You're not going to be running an air conditioner off that. Whenever you do plug this in, that blue light's telling you have a successful power source. Red light would be telling you do have a bad power source. A little further ahead, you have your front compartment here with some storage space around the front of the unit. Inside this black box houses your battery, and then right up on the frame here, you got your battery disconnect switch with the battery disconnect switch position the way it is. On the on position, the batteries are connected. If you were to turn that over to the off position, then the batteries become disconnected from the unit. Underneath this black cover here, which does just undo, a little bungee cord underneath that holds it in, and then just this little wing nut right up top in the back. You can slide this cover right off for removal, or just to get what you need to do done, you just twist this open like barbecue style tank, all the way open, opens up the flow of propane to the unit. Of course, tongue jack right in the front here. Inside this compartment is where you're going to find your starter kit. That's going to have that 15 amp park adapter I told you about. And then just behind that is just that tool I told you about for the stabilizer jacks. You got your range hood vent flap right here. But always want to make sure that's open and free whenever you get to your campsite, and whenever you go traveling again, just pushing it and locking into place. That way you don't get any excess dust inside the unit. Your furnace exhaust is right here, so whenever your furnace is running, this is going to be pushing out hot air. Then you got your fresh water inlet filling up this guy. It just fills up your fresh tank located underneath the unit. That's what your water pump draws off of. And then the drain for that fresh tank is just right here. You're just twisting and taking that cap off, and that's just going to drain all the fresh water that you have inside the tank out. Located inside this here is just your main hot water heater. You got this little on switch. Turning that on does turn power onto the thermostat up top. For this water heater, you aren't going to bypass it for winterization. You are just going to run that antifreeze through it, and then whenever you're done, just cracking this and leaving this open, it allows all that antifreeze to drain out so you don't burst anything. You got your exterior shower, which does just open with your silver 731 key that should come included with your unit. You got your 110 power. And then inside here, flipping this open, gives you access to that capital griddle, get that, you just take that, pull it up, and this comes out. You got your griddle, which would just sit on top. And then you got your propane hose, just unraveling that. Take this little other red stopper that stops it from sliding in, slide it all the way over, and allow you to connect that quick connect line, just like an air hose, pulling back on the collar and pushing in. You can run the other end of the hose down and underneath, bottom of the trailer, where you got your other propane quick connect line. Take note of the way the orientation of this is. That's just closing off the flow of propane. Pushing that in, locks that into place. You then open up the flow of propane. Whenever this is on, for added safety measure, it's not going to let you release that end. And then you just take your griddle, push it over to the high lights option at that sparker, it fires right on up. And then to get that, it's just the opposite. Pull this through. I do just like raveling it up and connecting it into itself. That way you don't get any excess debris inside there. Tuck that away. Slide this over, lift that up. Goes in place. You got a 110 mini fridge. This is only going to work whenever you're hooked up to shore power. To get inside the unit, you are just taking this assist handle, pushing it up, holding it 90 degrees, and it locks into place. You can then open up your door and pull down. One thing to note, whenever you're running that awning, always make sure that your door is not blocking that awning arm or cause damage. Always making sure you have it 90 degrees like so. Stepping on inside the unit, you got your fire extinguisher right on your left. That's gonna be simple. Pull the pin and shoot. All the interior lights on this unit, just to work on that far right switch. Turn that on, turns on all the living space lights. And then you got your awning light LED. Hitting that button down, that far right button allows that slide out to make its way out. Once fully extended, you are just going to hear those motors wind up and cut out. Always making sure that you know it's clear on either side of the slide before running it. That way you don't run the risk of damaging anything. And there you go, it's fully extended. Now to get that awning out, push that awning button down. The awning's going to start making its way out. You know that awning's fully extended when you see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. And there you go, you got that little flap hanging down. That way you know you're fully extended. Now, if you just take any arm, front or rear, and pull down on it, it's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to then run off. Now, if you like that angle better, you do the same thing with the front arm, and it's going to allow for more shade underneath. Just always making sure you do push these arms back straight when you go to bring in that awning. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. Whenever you are bringing that awning in, just making sure that it's rolling the right way in. Also, you want to keep an eye on the wind speeds. Whenever you start getting to about 5 km/h winds, you are just going to want to bring in that awning. That way you don't run the risk of ripping your fabric or bending your arms. Once that contacts the side of the trailer, you know you're fully in and the motor just cuts out. You can let off the button. You got your water pump switch on your left. Turning that on just does turn on the water pump, which draws off your fresh tank, and then your monitor panel system up above. You got low, fair, good, and C to be charging for the battery, and then for the tanks, you got empty, 1/3, 2/3, and then full. You got your fire extinguisher, LP detector right down here. Both your furnace and your stove run off propane. If that guy ever starts going off, you are just going to want to turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit and open up some windows and maybe turn on those vents just to ventilate it out a little bit. You got your Bluetooth stereo right on the wall here. You can just slide that up and take it with you if you'd like to do so. That is the stereo for this unit. Whenever you're running your furnace is just going to be blowing all its heat out of this duct here. So if you were to get a fan just to blow that around a little bit, it would be a great idea. You got your range hood up above to get the stove to light. Pretty simple. You're just taking those knobs, throwing them over to the light section, holding it in to turn those igniters on, and it lights right on up. Sometimes if you have the propane system off for a while, it allows air into the system. So you just got to be patient and allow it to purge itself. You got your microwave up top, just like home. Not much I'm going to show you there. And then of course you got your sink with hot and cold water. And then you got your thermostat for your hot water heater. Pushing that button on illuminates this, turning it on. Up or down at any time changes the set temperature you'd like the water to be. If you hold that up button for about 5 seconds, you're going to hear a beep. Then it is just going to allow you to go up to 55 degrees. That's just an added safety measure so kids don't scald their hands. You can also change it between Celsius and Fahrenheit just by the push of that button. You got your Furion fridge, which is 12 volt, but for it to be working on 12 volt, whenever you do turn it on, you do have to just make sure that it's on that off-grid section. Otherwise, it's not going to run when you're plugged into your tow vehicle, and it'll only run when it's on shore power. Got a charcoal filter inside here just to help with the odor. Our parts department can get more of these, so if you'd like to get a couple more, you can contact them and they can get you set up with that. Inside the living space here, you do just got this little fan to get it to go up. You're just pulling and sliding, and that allows it to open up. Just keep it in mind you are up open into the air. If you'd like to get a max air cover, you can get one installed. You can contact your parts department about that as well. When you do get one of those installed, it just allows you to be able to run that fan whenever you'd like, even if it's raining. You got your bed area. To get that to fold down into bed, you're just taking that couch, pulling out on the foot of it, and it folds down. And then you can take your mattress and fold it on out, and you got yourself a bed. You do have sleep app access on both sides of the bed. There's plugins in there as well. And then to get the couch to fold up, you do just have to fold the bed up. You kind of push it, tuck it away in there, just so it's out of the way. To get the couch back up, it is just as simple as pushing and pulling, kind of assisting at the top, and it folds down into place. You got charging on either side of the bed. And then on this side here, you do have your solar controller. They say it's a controller, but really it is just a monitor panel system. It's going to allow you to switch between those different views, whether it's temperature, voltage, or amp hours. And you can also change some settings in there as well if you'd like to do so. In here, this does fold down into a bed. You're just having to loosen up this thing here. You just take that, loosen it off. It'll allow you to pull that out, and then you can loosen this one off at the top, pull this table out. You take that table, sit it on these black ledges that you see, and then you just take your back cushions to fill in the center. Underneath here, you do have some storage space as well. Right below your fridge, push that and allow that to fold down. You got your breaker panel and fuse panel. Whenever a breaker trips, it's going to sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. Whenever you have a fuse pop, there'll be a little red indicator light telling you which one's blown. You got bunk space, you got lights up above and down below. Inside here is just going to be your bathroom, as well as your main GFI plug. Light switch for the bathroom is just right here. You do have another one of those fans inside the shower as well. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd look, is the GFI plug, just making sure that that green light's on and the system's proper and not tripped. And then last but not least, on this wall here, you got this thermostat as well, and that's just for the furnace. That's only going to fire the furnace. You're just taking that, clicking it all the way over is going to be its hottest setting. Anywhere in the middle is warmer, and then clicking it all the way to the left turns it off. You do have a TV bracket right here, as well as plug in. You're pre-wired for Wi-Fi, and you got your cable satellite outlets, and then right beside that is just this little black button. Pushing that button in turns on that green light. It just turns the antenna on the roof, which also is going to improve your FM frequency. So I just typically leave that on. And then to work that air conditioner, you got your temperature setting on the one knob. I always leave it on the cool setting because this isn't equipped with a heat pump, so it is only going to blow cold air. You got low fan, so that's just the air conditioner moving air around. There's no cooling involved. It's got low fan twice, and then you get to high fan. Again, that's just the fan moving air around. Then you get to low cool, and that's when the air conditioner takes into effect. You got louvers on either side to control how the air blows out. And then you get to high cool, which is the same thing but on the high fan. That's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.